everyone, welcome back to another video about health and food and feeling good and skin and all those things. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys some of my favorite sort of recipes for, I guess, kind of detoxing or cleansing after a period of time where you may have not been eating as well. So I spent the weekend in Luxembourg. I made a full travel vlog about it. If you want to see that, it'll be somewhere. But as you may know, with traveling, sometimes it's hard to eat on the healthier side. So I basically consumed a lot of rice crackers, a lot of bread, a lot of hummus. Not necessarily things that are unhealthy, but things that are not very fresh. And so if it's all that you're consuming, you're not going to feel or look your best. Because I was eating soy all weekend, my skin sort of suffered for it. I actually, by the way, filmed this whole video earlier and I was wearing clothes and more presentable, but I somehow deleted half of the footage. So here we are in the raw. But anyway, my skin right now is not great. I got some breakouts here, some right here, a little bit on my forehead, but mostly this little area. And that's just what happens when I don't eat the best. This happens when I have a lot of sugar, a lot of fried foods, and just not things that aren't as fresh. So now that I'm home and I have access to fresh fruits and vegetables, I am super excited to be eating better and sharing these recipes with you guys. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button below, please do that. It would mean a lot to me. If you like videos like this, if you're interested in things like health or skin or food or traveling, then hopefully you will enjoy this channel. So let's get into it. It's going to be a little bit disorganized because, again, I filmed half the footage and then lost it, so I'm sort of trying to piece it all back together right now. I also went to the market this morning and bought a whole bunch of food that I will be using throughout the week, in addition to stuff that I already had. So if you want to see that grocery haul and what I typically like to buy and how I like to shop when I go to the market, you can watch that. It's coming next. If you're not interested in that, that's totally fine. You can just skip ahead of that and find the recipes. So yeah. Insert grocery haul here. So this is the haul. Basically what I like to do is get a whole lot of plant foods. So lots of just whole fruits and vegetables that I can then cook and mix together to make meals. And this is just what makes me feel the best. I'll start off on this side. So I got some tangerines. These just all came in a bag, and they were on sale. And if I got these, the blueberries and the grapes, it was all $4.50, which is an excellent deal. This is in euros, by the way. So I'll tell you the prices of everything together and then convert it to dollars just to make it more simple. So I got some tangerines that I can always snack on, have a couple before like my breakfast or whatever. I just like having these around because they are a great snack and they're easy to bring with you since they're self-contained. I got a squash that I will probably make soup with, not today, but another day this week. Some ginger, which I like to make ginger tea with. Some arugula, it was €1. Some kale, and I know this is a lot of plastic, but at the local grocery store that I have here, they actually don't sell any fresh greens that are not wrapped in plastic. Same goes for the cauliflower. So I do usually try to do my best for that, but again, everything's in plastic. Even the farmer's market stuff is in plastic, so yeah. So we have the grapes, the blueberries, 2 avocados, a head of cauliflower, a couple zucchinis, a couple bananas, some beets, and I know these are very controversial. Some people love beets and some people hate them. I love them, but I do think it's all about how you cook them. So I actually do like them raw if I cut them very, very thin, put them in a salad with a lot of other things. But my favorite way to eat them is roasted, and they are so good. A couple cans, I got 2 because these were on sale, and these are just tomatoes, like diced tomatoes, so they're not cooked. So I would need to cook these down to make a sauce or something. And so I sort of like doing this rather than buying a sauce because usually all the sauces have sugar and oil and a bunch of stuff added. So when you make it yourself, you just know that it's a little bit fresher, and it's usually cheaper too to get. Like I got, it's a lot of tomato, and these were on sale. It was 2 for $3.50. So yeah, that's a pretty good deal. And then for the herbs, I got, I already have a basil plant and parsley, but I got cilantro because that's another one that I love to use in dishes and I have been missing it. And then I got another basil plant because I use basil a lot. I've already taken a lot of the bigger leaves from it because I'm going to make some pesto. And then the cilantro. So all of this together was €22.80 or something. It was like €22.80, which in dollars I think is about $26. So that's a pretty good deal for all of this food. And things like beans and rice are also very, very cheap, but I already had those, so I didn't need to buy more. So when you mix these with those things, it really is not a super expensive way to eat. And then over here, just to show you, I have some sweet potatoes that are soaking because I'm going to be making some sweet potato fries, which you will see today. So now moving along to the recipes. So we're going to start with snacks and then move into meals. And we're going to start with one that's not really a recipe because it's very easy and you don't have to do anything, but that is fresh fruit and vegetables. I really like to start my day with some fresh fruit. It's super hydrating and it has a high water content, so it's going to be better for your skin as well. If we're talking about skin, I really like berries because they're higher in antioxidants, but I sort of just decide what kind of fruit I am depending on my mood or depending on my health situation. If I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, I like oranges or stuff with higher vitamin C. So yeah, this all varies depending also what's in season and what's on sale at the market. So now moving on to actual recipes. insert footage here. So another great sort of refreshing snack or breakfast, or whenever you really want to eat it, is some vegan yogurt with some fruit and nut toppings. You can also throw granola in here if you're hungry, but since I've been eating grains, refined grains for the past few days, I just wanted to keep it a little bit lighter and stick to more fruit-like toppings. So if I can set this up. So for this, I just have some soy yogurt here, but you can use any kind of yogurt. Coconut is probably the most refreshing, but this is what I have. And then just a little fun thing to do, whenever I have like soft blueberries, or if they're starting to kind of go bad and they're not the best consistency, I just sort of cook them up on the stove with some lemon and some kind of sweetener into like this jammy kind of sauce. And then it's really great to throw into anything you're baking or yogurt or whatever. So I'm just gonna throw some of that in there. We're also going to throw in some goji berries or any kind of dried fruit that you want. Some flax seeds just to get some more healthy fats, fiber in there. A few walnuts as well, same thing, get some omegas. Some of the blueberries, that we bought. And this one, honestly, I think looks even prettier once you kind of stir it because, oh my gosh, look at the colors. Well, there's many ways that you can cook sweet potato fries. This is the first time that I've actually done all this work for it. Usually I just cut the potatoes up, throw them on a baking sheet, throw them in the oven, call it a day. But I was looking up ways to get your fries extra crispy. And they said if you soak them in water for at least 30 minutes and then dry them really well, and that's the key, make sure they're very, very dry. And then when you bake them, that they get a little bit crispier. So I'm just drying my potatoes out now with a towel. And I'm going to throw them on a baking sheet, season them, and throw them in the oven. So, yeah. Now I just usually add some garlic and onion powder. So I'm actually not gonna salt them because I read that if you salt them before you bake them, something about like the moisture, they just get a little soggier rather than crispier. So we're gonna wait and we're gonna salt them after they bake. So 425 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm gonna throw them in, and I think it should be about like 15 minutes on each side. So in a just sort of small blender or food processor, I just add some walnuts, a handful of basil leaves, and now just that I don't use so much basil and also so that I can get some other greens in there, I usually just do sort of equal parts of spinach or kale. I'm going to be using kale. I don't know if this is pre-washed. I really hope that it is. Now I'm gonna just give it like a good squeeze of lemon. This is probably like a tablespoon maybe? I sort of do everything to taste, so I'm sorry that measurements aren't exact. If I need more, I'll always add more, but you know. And now I give it a sort of good go of olive oil, extra virgin. Traditionally, you're supposed to use more. I just gave it maybe like 2 tablespoons, a tablespoon and a half. But I don't like it to be super heavy in olive oil. I'm gonna give it a little more, and then I do a little bit of water. Be very careful with the water though, because you don't want to water it down too much. So that was probably like a teaspoon and a half or so. Nutritional yeast, gotta get some of that in there. And then some garlic. So I added a little bit of water, so now it's a little bit creamier. So I'm just gonna put this in a jar so that you can see it. So our fries have come out of the oven. They are nice and crispy. Here I've just mixed up a pesto dip. I basically just used about a teaspoon of the pesto that we made and about 2 teaspoons of tahini. Mixed it together, added more salt, added about a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, and a little bit of hot water to get it into sort of this thin, creamy sauce. And we're just gonna drizzle this over the sweet potato fries. So there are the sweet potato fries with pesto. And this sauce can be made with veganese as well, but for a healthier alternative, you can use the tahini recipe that I did. So another great option for a meal is any kind of spaghetti that is not made from flour or wheat, or wheat flour. So this one is made out of soybeans, but I know this brand also has black bean noodles, edamame noodles, and mung bean noodles, and probably a few others. And so it's basically just like a high protein pasta, and I have no problem with carbs, but again, since I've consumed so much white bread and crackers and rice cakes and stuff like that in the past few days, I don't really want to eat more of those. Just put a little bit of that down first, and then we can add the pasta, and then add a little bit more. That's probably like 1.5 teaspoons, so a total of maybe 3 teaspoons. I need to mix 2 hands, so hold on. So there it is, your pesto pasta. I just threw in some roasted zucchini and put some fresh basil on top. This is like a great meal for when you want something that sort of feels a little bit indulgent, but is actually pretty healthy. So because the noodles have so much protein and fiber and carbohydrates and everything, you don't really need to pair this with much, but you definitely could have it with like a salad or more roasted veggies or however else you would want to have it. And remember that the pesto also has like walnuts and kale, so it's definitely a very fulfilling meal, and it's super good. So another of my favorite go-to recipes for when I just want something kind of lighter and a little bit more fresh is this herb sort of Mediterranean salad. I usually just use onions, tomatoes, whatever fresh herbs I have. I'm using basil and parsley. And I'm throwing in some olives as well. This is totally optional. It just is a little bit more fun, I think. And the one thing I'm missing that I totally wish I had is chickpeas, which makes it more filling and more of a meal. But I'm actually eating this with some other things, so I don't need it to be quite as filling. And of course, avocado. This one's really ugly, but putting a lot of avocado in there is going to make it really filling as well. And we just have arugula as our base, but you could totally use any greens, spinach, romaine, kale, whatever you want. And then for the dressing, it's just a vinaigrette I made out of apple cider vinegar, some maple syrup or honey or whatever sweetener you want, and some salt. You could totally just eat the salad like this with the avocado as well and some chickpeas, and that's also delicious. But since I had arugula, I thought I would get some extra greens by putting that in there. But this also makes an excellent, refreshing salad. I just have some coconut oil heating up here. I'm going to add my fajita veggies to the pot. So this is just some diced up bell peppers and onions. And we're going to cook those first and then add the zucchini a little later because the zucchini cooks faster than these do. So now we're just going to add our zucchini. And you could also just salt these as you cook them. And then I also like to add a little bit of cumin. Add some kale. And add a little bit of lime. And now we're just gonna heat up some beans. These are kidney beans, but I feel like pinto beans or black beans or honestly any kind of beans would be totally fine and delicious in this recipe. And for these, I just add a little bit of paprika, smoked paprika preferably, adding some cumin. So for the toppings for our bowl that's waiting over here, have some mashed avocado with some garlic and salt and lemon, a small little pico de gallo to go with it. So for that, I'm just going to be mixing some diced onion, tomato, cilantro from the plant we just got, lemon, and salt. So We're just gonna whip those up and then add them to our bowl. Here's our bowl. It's super healthy, super refreshing. The guacamole with the fresh tomatoes and onions and the lime just sort of gives it that really nice, refreshing sort of taste, while it's still filling because of the beans and the avocado. So I'm gonna dig into this. It's a beautiful day out. So that is it on my healthy sort of cleansing, detoxifying snacks and meals. All of these recipes are super flexible, super easy. You don't really have to stick to them to a T. There's a lot of things that are interchangeable. And also just do what works for your body. Not the same thing is always gonna make everyone feel their best, so do what works for you. For some people, they say that soy breaks them out. For me, that's not as much of an issue. So again, you can just adjust any of these to your liking. So if you have any of your own recommendations for cleansing foods, snacks, feel-good meals, leave those below, share them with everyone else and with me. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.